Hi, and welcome to MA 112. My name is Matthew Brenneman. I'm the instructor for this class. I'm really excited that you're here. It's great that you're taking it, and I hope you enjoy it. And this is just the start of, a really great adventure for you. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. I started off life as an undergraduate, not as a math major, but as a biology major. I studied biophysics. After I graduated from college, I went to work at a national laboratory called the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory, and I developed methods using calculus to determine the structure of biological molecules that were involved in cancer, and actually viruses like the coronavirus too. About that time, I became much more interested in mathematics. My work became more and more mathematical. So I went to graduate school, did my graduate work in mathematics, and after I finished, I went and I worked for AFOSR. So for those of you who are militarily inclined, you know that's the Air Force Office of Strategic Research. And there I did work on developing mathematical methods to improve GPS signals, especially to mitigate multipath and interference in GPS signals. And that was a lot of fun. I got very heavily into statistics around that time, and I started to do statistical signal processing. So what did I do? I went back to graduate school and I did my graduate work in statistics. And along the way, I became interested in statistics education. And that's pretty much what I focus on now. I do a number of different things, but I mostly develop tools for people to learn undergraduate statistics. And I also do a little bit of work in fraud detection. Now, why do I tell you this? Because I'm such a fabulously fascinating person? No, I'm pretty boring for the most part. But I tell you this story, first of all, so you know I'm not just some bum off the street, and these aren't figments of my crazed imagination, but also because my career trajectory is probably going to be very similar to your own. You're going to find that what you learn in college is not enough to get you through the rest of your career. And you're probably going to have to go back and do more training, get a master's or something along this line. And this is important because when you apply for graduate school, one of the things they look at is your GPA. That is the biggest determinant in whether or not they admit you. So you want to take this course seriously. You want to take your grades seriously. It's not a joke. All right, I'm going to go ahead now and give you an introduction to the course, show you a little bit around, kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do. Okay, so now we're ready to get into it. Just one quick comment about myself that will be important for you to understand. You'll find that I'm a little different than some of the professors that other classmates will have for this course. And I guess the way I would describe it is, some of the other instructors are kind of, airy-fairy in a way, right? Like the last questions, they'll have you do assignments where it's like, how does this make you feel and stuff like that, right? And not that I'm casting shade on them, okay? I mean, different instructors have different ways of teaching, and that's perfectly fine. But my perspective, the way I teach, is I look at this as really a mission or an objective, and I'm very focused. So my objective is to teach you mathematics. And so I don't dwell a lot, and I try not to give you a lot of extraneous stuff you don't need. We're very busy this semester. Everyone is stressed out. If you have ROTC specifically, you'll find that you have not a lot of extra time. And so I don't want to waste your time doing unnecessary things. Okay? I want to really focus on the key things and keep things to a minimum. Keep it simple. Now, let me make it really clear. That doesn't mean that I'm not interested in you as a person and that I don't want to talk to you and answer questions or concerns that you have or anything like that. Quite to the contrary. I can tell you from my own personal experience, I know how important it is. If I had had a professor when I was an undergraduate that I could have gone to and talked to personally and really sat down and talked to, my career would have taken a very different trajectory. When I was an undergraduate, I was asked to go into an advanced math track. And I was good at math and I liked it, but I was like, do I really want to go this far into the weeds? What good is it? I went to my professors and the math professors and said, what good is this? And they couldn't really answer. They'd tell me about their research, which I didn't know anything about. And they would tell me all this abstract stuff, and I just couldn't relate to it at that point in my career. And so I didn't do it. And if I could have got a professor that really could have answered that question, why should you study mathematics? My career would have taken a totally different trajectory. Relationships with professors are important. We really can help you, and it's important to go and ask these sorts of questions. And I want to answer those. But I want to have necessary and meaningful interactions with you, not unnecessary and things that, in my opinion, quite frankly, are kind of busy work. Okay? It's an attempt to form a bond with a student and act like there's a personal connection, but there really isn't, in my opinion. That's why I don't do it. So I hope that kind of explains the course, and the benefit is that I'll try to keep things really simple so that you're not overloaded with work. Okay, speaking of which, what do you have to do in this course, and how do you know what to do? So when you go to our Canvas course homepage, right? So let me start way in the beginning. When you go to Canvas, when you go to Ernie and you click on Canvas, all of your Canvas course home pages will pop up. You're going to click ours, and you're going to see this home page. Now, modules are the way the course is broken up. So the material is broken up into little chunks called modules. And this is going to tell you what you need to do and in what order you need to do it. Now, I'm going to give you a little heads up here, okay? The university is being very strict about the structure of the classes. All the instructors in the math department, at least for this class, all have to use modules. We've taken the Canvas course from an instructor who taught this previously and ported it over to our Canvas homepage. But there may be some things that we still have to fine tune. And I've gone through to the best of my ability and tried to find them, but there may be things here and there that pop up, okay? Just so you know. But the way you're going to get started is you're going to click on modules, and this is going to be the module for week 0, so to speak. Okay. And so what you're going to do is you're going to click on that and read this. And this is going to kind of give you a general idea of what calculus is used for. Calculus, it is really important to understand. Sometimes students will say to me, oh, I don't have to understand calculus. There's programs that will do this stuff online. And you're absolutely right. But the thing you have to realize is if there's a program that can do your job, chances are you're going to become obsolete. The one thing that machines cannot do yet is they have a hard time interpreting and knowing when to do certain things. And this is where you come in. So this class is designed to help you be able to interpret calculus, understand when it's used, and to be able to understand the results. And you're right, there are programs that will actually do the mechanics. You'll have to do some of those as a student because it's good for your soul. But the main thing is to kind of take away, how are we using this? When do we use calculus? How do we quantify and think about things quantitatively? And that's what hopefully this course will help you develop. So I'll let you read this. This is going to talk a little bit about the structure of the course. So in this course, we're going to have 4 different components, 4 different assessments. There'll be videos and quizzes. There'll be homeworks, a final project, and exams. And we'll get more into this as we go along. And I'll talk a little bit about this when we review the syllabus briefly. Student responsibilities is an important part of this course. So for some of you, you're coming from high school, and high school and college classes are different. We move much more quickly. And that's going to be something that'll take you a little time to learn. Kind of like the difference between a minor league curveball and a major league curveball. The other part is that an online course is going to require you be maybe a little more responsible and mature than you might have been in the past. So because you don't actually have to come to class and everything is online, it's really easy for the out of sight, out of mind principle to come into effect. And you can say, I don't have to come to lecture, but I have to do this. I have to finish this project. And then you put it off and you put it off and you put it off, and then the exam comes around. And again, going back to that difference between high school and college, the cramming method may have worked really well for you in high school, probably won't work as well for you in college. So it's something that you really want to stay on top of. One of the other parts of student responsibility is you communicating to me when there is some issue. So there is a decent chance that something will happen to somebody throughout the semester, and God forbid it would happen to you. But if it does, you need to contact me as soon as possible. Generally, if it's something really serious, the Dean of Student Affairs will contact me, and I'll still contact you to kind of discuss the particulars of your situation. But I've had students in the past who will have a valid reason for, not being able to do the work, but they won't tell me. And maybe 3 weeks will elapse, and they're failing homeworks, they've got an F on an exam, and then they'll come to me later and say, hey, I had a valid excuse, go ahead and back and give me an extension. And the response to that is sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. So you have to appreciate the fact that universities are under regulations, especially if they get federal funding the way we do. And one of those regulations is that we're audited academically. There are agencies. In our case, it's called Abbott. And Abbott will go through and look at certain courses. And if they look at my course, one of the questions they ask me is whether I gave exemptions or exceptions to students, extensions, things of that nature. And I have to be honest. And if I cannot account for why I did that, both myself and the university get in trouble. So please don't subscribe to the philosophy that it's easier to ask forgiveness than ask permission. That is a very bad policy in this class. You have to talk to me about it anyhow. You might as well get out in front of it and be proactive and tell me at the beginning. And I can help you much better too. So it's really a win-win situation, but please make sure that you're responsible. And it doesn't have to be COVID related. There's all sorts of reasons why students aren't able to, meet their academic obligations. But if you find yourself in that boat for whatever reason, contact me immediately, and I'll be more than happy to work with you. Okay, so when you want to navigate through the modules, get to the next one, guess what you do? Big surprise, click the next button. Okay, so this is about the syllabus, super important, even Snoop Dogg knows.
A message from Big Snoop Double G to all the university students. Yo, syllabus. You gotta do it. You gotta read it.
Word up.
Man, I'm telling you, the more you know, the further you go. Tell them Snoop Dogg sent you. Syllabus. I know all about it. Catch up so we can have a conversation. Don't be late. Let's go.
See, so even Snoop Dogg knows how important the syllabus is. And the more you know, the further you go. Definitely true in aviation, right? But here's where the syllabus is. You can click on this link. I already have it open up. Let me find the right copy. I believe this is the one. I'm going to step you through a few things really quickly, and I'll let you read it. This is my contact information. I'm going to talk a little more about contacting me later. As far as the classes that we have off, I believe at this point there's no classes that are canceled. Expo Day on October 13th, I believe. Sometimes we get that day off, but I'm not sure if they're going to do that. I'll keep you in the loop and let you know as we approach. September 11th is the last day you can drop ad without penalty, without it even going on your academic record. November 11th is the last day that if you feel you can't complete the course or you need to quote unquote drop it, you can withdraw/audit then. These are the 4 things I mentioned before that go into your course grade and the percentages. I'll drop the 2 lowest homeworks, but I won't do that till midterm because otherwise you get a really bad estimation of what your grade is because you don't have that many assessments. I think it's really important in the beginning that you do know if you're doing poorly. because again, how you start off the course is really going to be crucial. I will drop the 3 lowest participation in quiz activities. I believe there's like 20 some of those, but again, I won't do that till the middle of the semester. The homeworks and the exams will both be on Verify, and they'll be in modules, so you'll know when to click on those and do those. A quick word about Verify. So a number of you contacted me and said it's not in the bookstore. My understanding is that you can go to the bookstore physically and buy it, and the course coordinator is going to tell the bookstore to order more. I'm not sure why they're out, because all you do is you get an access code. Now, I'm going to say the following about Verify. Technically, you don't have to buy it. Technically, you already have access to it. However, the university and the people who produced Verify ask that on the honor system you do pay for it. And I'm asking you to email me a receipt. If you don't, nothing's going to happen to you. You'll be able to use the program cost-free. I'm not going to monitor. I'm not going to be a policeman. I'm not going to embarrass you or harass you or whatever. This is your personal responsibility. And so I'm going to put everyone on the honor system. Okay, the people who created this, it took time, energy, effort. I know because I produced online materials. It's a lot of work. So please do the right thing and purchase it. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. We will have a final project that I'll talk about more as we reach that point. For calculators, I'm not going to give you a huge list of the calculators you can and can't use. The university has such a list. There are always new exceptions, new calculators are coming out, whatever. What you cannot have is you can't have a calculator that does symbolic integration and differentiation. Or if you have it, you can't use it. Now again, I won't know because the homeworks and the exams are online. But I am going to say the following. And I know sometimes students, they think this stuff is just a formality, but it's not. It is very important that you begin to develop professional ethics. Sometimes students, they think they're not in the real world. You always say, students here, you hear them say, when I get out in the real world, you are in the real world. Newsflash. And the reality is that you aren't like, a caterpillar where, all of a sudden when you graduate, you break out of the chrysalis and you're this beautiful new butterfly. You're going to be the same person after graduation that you are before. And ethics is really important. A lot of ethics is not written down, it's understood. So at the end of the day, you are the sum total of your habits. If you want to be a professional, you don't want to work on an hourly wage or work at McDonald's or whatever, now's a good time to practice those professional ethics. So the thing about Verify, buying that, the thing about the calculator, they're not trivialities. They aren't minor things that you should ignore. Okay, they're things that you should do. But again, that's your own personal responsibility. That doesn't fall into my domain. I'm not a policeman, but I do want to impress upon you how important that is. As far as classroom conduct, the only thing I'm going to ask is when we have our Zoom sessions, I'm generally going to make people's little images, available, kind of like they are now. And, try to work or try to do a Zoom session in a place that's relatively free of distractions. If you have stuff going on, like your dog is barking or you're fighting with your roommate or whatever, as good looking and as charismatic as I am, people are still going to be drawn to your screen. Why? Because it's a distraction. And so again, I'm not in the police business. I'm not going to come down on you or anything. I may ask you if you can go someplace that's quiet, just because I don't want other students to be distracted. But again, I understand sometimes you can't, and that happens, okay? And we will deal with that as it comes about, but just something I ask you as a courtesy to everyone else. I think everything else is pretty straightforward. I'm going to cover most of this other stuff, and you can read what's here, okay? And I urge you to do so because Snoop Dogg told you it's important. I misspelled his name. There's actually 2 G's. So if you're OCD like me, that might bother you, and I apologize for that. Moving on. Okay, the final project I'm going to talk about as we begin to approach it. So you shouldn't have to worry about this right now. The final project is really kind of, designed to help you understand how calculus is applied. So I think it's a really good addition to the course. We just started doing this, and hopefully we'll start doing more of that. I think the applications are really important. Super important is getting help, though. Okay, I don't want anyone to feel like in this online course I'm just throwing materials at you and saying, here, do it, and you're left on your own. That's not the way a good online course is constructed. That's not what I do. So it's important, it's essential that when you have problems in this course, and that will be the case for a good percentage of you at some point, you know how to get help and where to go. So the first point you should start is me. All right. Sometimes people say things like, I hired a tutor, my tutor says this, my tutor says that. Okay, first of all, with all due respect, I have a graduate degree in my discipline. I've taught it for a long time. Plus, I'm giving you the exams. Okay, so, it would kind of seem like a smart thing to talk to me and not spend money on a tutor who can't help you as well, quite frankly, in most cases. I give out my personal cell number. So if you have trouble, I do that so that you can get help right then. You're working on a problem 8:30 at night, you get stuck on something, what do? Give me a call, text me. If you text, tell me who you are. And I can help you right then and there. If it's a little involved, so sometimes I can just answer your question on the phone, we can work through a problem. If it's a little more involved, I can set up a Zoom meeting. It takes all of 2 minutes for me to create the link and send you an email and for us to get into the Zoom meeting. The Zoom meetings are really useful. And you can do this if you have problems with some sort of homework question. You can do this for office hours. Okay, my office hours are by appointment when you need them. You can pop in whenever you want. The office hours are really useful because, again, we can do Zoom, see each other's screens. We can share screens. I have a tablet, so I can write down what we do. I can save the transcript as a PDF and send that to you. And I can even make a video recording of the session. If I haven't told you this already, I want to really emphasize this. And so this is far superior than office hours, where you go, you kind of understand it, you walk away with scraps of paper, and then you come home and you're like, what did he say? Right? You have all these, materials at your disposal. It's really nice. So if you have any questions, try to contact me first. Okay, A Squared, the Academic Advancement Center, it's on the first floor of COAS. Here are the hours and everything. The tutors there are all qualified to do MA 112. They're really good for help if you run into problems with homework. Some people actually go there and do their homework. This time it's a little different because of COVID. They can't overload the room with students, so they're asking you make appointments. But again, I think the method is pretty straightforward and pretty painless, okay? And if you run into any questions, talk to me and I'm more than willing to work with you. But they are going to have a problem that they get booked up. And so again, if you run into any troubles, always feel free to see me. We do have, let me navigate back to where I was. We have special sessions just designed for MA 112. And these are called supplemental instruction sessions. So we have a TA, that's Mr. Vu Duong. He's going to hold 2 sessions. One will be on Tuesday, the other on Thursday. They're both from 7:30 to 9 p.m. That's not 90 p.m. I need to change that. In COAS 108. And this is really good if you need a lot of help. So if you feel like I need a lot of one-on-one help and I really want to go to a person, even though we can do it virtually, feel free to do that. And a lot of times they'll have kind of like planned lessons that they'll go through and work through. Sometimes if you just want to test your comprehension, like you say, hey, I don't have a question, but I just want to make sure I really understand the stuff, that's a really good thing to do. And again, you'll kind of understand as you navigate through this a little bit more. And this is the textbook. You can go ahead and download that. It's for free. And it's pretty much geared towards Embry-Riddle. So you can just click the download button and do that. That's pretty much all I have right now. If you have any questions, Again, feel free to reach out, text, call, email, whatever. I usually check my email about 2 or 3 times a day. Text and phone calls, I mean, sometimes I'll get busy, be working on something and I can't answer. But, when you text someone, they pretty much know you contacted them right away. And I tend to either respond immediately or probably within the hour. So I have a really fast response rate. Okay, I hope everything is good and you guys are all ready to go and you're excited. I think it's going to be a great semester and I will see you on our first class meeting, which will be posted on our homepage, the times we're going to do our online sessions always through Zoom. So check out the homepage. All right, thanks a lot.